coming. We are particularly glad that you're here because our performance is incomplete, and we need you to help us finish it. So Sarah's walking around, this is Sarah, and handing out a little slip of paper. If you get one, don't worry, just hold on to it. We're going to explain what you do. So I wrote a poem inspired by this artwork, and Nikki took part of that poem and turned it into the chorus of a song. And the next part is the writing of the verses. So you guys have the words. There are 3 verses, but those words come in whatever order you decide they come in. So somebody out there has the first line. You know who you are, right? And not because I told you, but because you can feel it in your soul. So ask your soul, and the first person, if you think you have the first line to this song, or it might be just a word, call it out, and then we're gonna, Sarah and I will put it down in order for Nikki. And then when that goes, we're all gonna be listening, and you'll know if you have the second line. You'll ask your soul. Your soul will tell you. Okay? So we're communing not only with each other, but with our own souls, which is important. So. Okay, who has the first line?
I think it's we jump out of time.
Oh, of course it is. I mean, how could it be anything else? Okay, hold on. All right. We jump out of time. Second line.
We do just disappear.
That's right. Okay. Here it is. All right, next.
Live the life we were meant to have.
Don't we all want that? Okay. What else?
Because it never ends.
Because it never ends. Hold on. Nobody say anything. That is right, but I just got to find it. There it is.
If it is heaven.
Okay, if it is heaven. Here it is. Okay. All right, next slide.
Strong tan made of moonlight.
Oh.
I changed one word, is that okay?
Yeah, you changed it, didn't you? Okay, we'll change it too. Your soul was really talking. All right, we're listening to your soul. Okay, nobody else change words. I'm just kidding. Repress your souls. Okay.
We will hold each other once, then never again.
We'll hold each other once, but never again.
If we are bad.
If we are bad, that's... Right? So be careful, okay? I did not see that one coming. No.
Maybe all we need is to be happy here.
Last one.
Who wants to call it out?
Say it.
If we are good.
If we are good. That's such a good one! Okay, sorry. I'm just so excited with the way that turned out. You guys are way more brilliant than I was on my own. So this already, again, doubly beautiful. It's already happened. So now the exciting thing is that we know the chorus of the song, and now we have the lyrics. So what we're going to do is Nikki is going to play the song, and she'll sing the verses in the order in which you created them, so we get to hear the words. And as Nikki plays, Sarah and I will perform a dance.
Jump out of time. Do just disappear. We get to choose if we want to return. All the weights and measures.
Outside for nearly a week on nothing more than music, marijuana, and some basic survival skills we'd seen demonstrated on cable TV. Even if we never speak to each other again, we'll always have our memories of those songs we penned in the woods. They were real musical breakthroughs for our band, especially My Leg Itches and shitting in a hole. And I don't care if I'm in the minority. I believe that bears aren't just big dogs after all is the radio-friendliest utopian sing-along ever set to the key of G by 5 people stranded up trees.
All the weights and measures, live a life we were meant to have. We are forever sailing, lazy breeze, 'cause it never ends. If it is hell,
The Social Security Administration keeps a very detailed list on their website of all the baby names that were assigned for every year going back to the 1880s. So I looked at the year 1970 to see what names boys were being given, and I looked at the bottom of that list, the bottom 10 of the top 1,000, and I thought it would be interesting to write a couple of vignettes about these names. Name number 991, Freeman. That's an easy choice. Freeman, free man. Freeman's parents wanted to mark him as a free man from birth before he was even a man at all. He was going to be a free boy from the start, at least, and then he would grow one day into a free man. The hope was that by the time Freeman had grown into a man, in those still far-off years at the end of the 20th century, the world in which he lived would have grown freer alongside him. It would grow inevitably towards freedom. Freeman, as his parents told the others, was a new type of free man. Born at the dawn of the 1970s, born into a new way of living where people were free to reinvent themselves, free to live more honestly with each other, free to live with themselves and with the earth. Did anyone else on that farm really believe that by 1970? The commune was in a state of constant turmoil. Founding members had been leaving. Younger kids, runaways from the cities of the Midwest and the Southwest and the interior West, had started moving to take their places and sat around all day tripping and glowering and eyeing the older communal members with a glassy-eyed catatonic hostility. There were fights almost every day. The tension was terrible. Freeman's parents would leave by the end of 1970. Freeman would grow up in relative comfort in the wilds of Marin County.
maybe when we die we come back and find each other again and again and again. Maybe when we die we come back. Maybe when we die we come back and find each other again and again and again. Maybe when we die we come back.
The fire roared and drowned out the city traffic and headlines. It left us with heat and a friendship that filled the ring and strung between us like Christmas lights. And I was kissing Stan, and it was warm, sun on my skin at the ball game worn, honeysuckle heat, melting the research and papers and late nights and red eyes and wrong answers and marks that scratched like wounds on paper. The fire roared louder, and we shifted back, and Jade was kissing Stan and Danny. I stopped listening to the stories. I stopped paying attention to who was following whom to the van or the barn. Then it was just Becca's guitar strumming behind me. With one arm around Jade and the other around me, the tall man from Summerhill leaned in. His long hair covered my face like wet, warm rain. He turned to Jade and then back to me, and his mouth covered mine. And I leaned back, and his body bent forward, and the night whispered yes. And the darkness was a curtain that I pulled aside to see if it was dangerous and exciting on the other side. And it was.
second grade, Starhawk's name was Stella Hawkins. I know because the teacher called on her with her whole name. She had eyes like geodes and dressed like a mess. Everyone knew her family lived on Old Man Crow's land in a teepee. There hadn't been a teepee on our reservation in 100 years, but there it was, ripe with hippies, Grandma said. Starhawk told me her name was Starhawk, and that she hated it when the teacher called on her with her government name off the attendance roster. So I called her Starhawk, unless I got mad at her, and then I called her Stella. My grandma, who I was staying with after my twin brothers were born and my mom sent me up here from Oklahoma, used to walk me to school, half a mile on a windy, cold road. Starhawk's folks dropped her off to school in a rusty red pickup. She'd jump out of the truck bed and they'd just drive off. She carried everything in a knit bag, a huge one. Lunch, book, gym shoes, sneakers, everything in one big striped bag. Sometimes Starhawk looked sad, but it was hard to tell what was brimming in her enormous, crystalline, tetrahedron eyes. It was better not to look. Who are your parents? I asked, because Ojibwe kids ask that as a polite thing. Do you mean my twins? She said. Turns out Starhawk had 2 sets of everything we would have in a family, 2 moms and 2 dads, and each pair was a twins. She said they were looking for the land of milk and honey. I said, well, I'm lactose intolerant.
Maybe when we die we come back and find each other again and again and again. Maybe when we die we come back. Maybe when we die we come back and find each other again and again and again. Maybe when we die we come back.
Had sort of funny experiences with co-ops. I think the co-ops were totally alienated from their roots by the time I had any involvement with them at all. So in 1993, it was essentially a bunch of yuppies who were sort of nice to each other. So this is called Farm Boy. The year was 1993. I was a college junior, I guess. Having grown up in a small community where farmers often helped each other through tough times, like bank repossessions and suicides, I longed for communal living. Dorm life had been difficult. Packs of students from the East Coast and Chicago flaunting their parents' money by wearing puffy North Face winter coats, by buying pizzas late at night without sharing slices with me. So, for pure reasons, I moved into a housing co-op on Madison, Wisconsin's Near East Side. I would make a go of college life, I swore. I would share what I had with the people who thought like me. In this co-op, my rent purchased a share of the home, literally. At such a young age, I was thrilled to gain a tiny percentage of ownership in a real house with locks and doors and a piano and a staircase and cats. I own one of that cat's whiskers, I thought, moving my futon in. But the people weren't like me. They were from cities, and communal life was tough. It was a democracy in this home. It was completely egalitarian from a contractual standpoint. That meant me and the other new wave hippies ate meals together, that we cooked together after buying the food together. Before going to the grocery store, the hippies and me voted on what we'd buy and cook. Each week, I'd vote for bratwurst, because I was not only a new wave hippie wannabe, but also a real of-the-earth cheesehead. Each week I'd vote for bratwurst and lose. And each night, because this is what was required of me, I helped prepare gruel and tomatoes for dinner. I was often hungry.
Maybe when we die we come back and find each other.